that's right. We are here with Dustin Twiddell from Wine on Broadway, and he works here, and we're going to be sharing a little bit more about the classes coming up with John Wood Community College about pairing wine with food and how to do that and why that's so important. But first, we're going to talk about a little bit behind the history of Wine on Broadway. So where did the idea for Wine on Broadway come from?
Well, what it really came from was the idea that we needed to bring something a little bit different to the Quincy area, provide, a knowledgeable staff, and really just, educate the public, and that's why we plan on doing classes like this. And we've done a beer class, and we've also got our tasting room, which we're going to have classes that are going to be open to the public.
Yeah, and so where did the idea of the class, the relationship with John Wood come from? Did you see a need that people...
Yeah, we pretty much saw that need, and we thought it'd be good to work with, John Wood Community College, which has really helped out the community, so.
Yeah, and so what can people expect when they participate in the class?
The first class will be in classroom at John Wood. It'll probably be a lecture type based thing, and then the second class is where the fun happens. We come back here to the tasting room and we get to try all the different wines.
And so during the class, what are they going to be learning? Is it like with meat? Is it with, I guess that's one of the things that I've always learned, pairing certain foods with certain meat is important.
Yeah, it will emphasis on wine pairing with food and with, meats and cheeses, and also selecting proper glassware and how to pour it and how to tell, what's what with the wine.
Sure. Well, coming up, we're going to be learning a lot about wine and maybe some more about how to drink it, pour it, all that good stuff. And you'll learn more about the class at John Wood coming up.
I'm interested in the drinking part of it.
Right, we have a lot of wine in front of us, as you can see, lots of different kinds, some local, some not so local. And so, Dustin, why don't you kind of talk about what you have in front of us?
Okay. What I got right here is just kind of like a brief example of what we have here and what we'll be talking about for our class. A great example of a Cabernet Sauvignon from Alexander Valley, which is in California. And then you've got two Spanish wines from the Rioja region, and they're also different styles. Like we've got the Vina Aguila, that is done in the New World style, which gives you those crisp, fruity flavors to it. And then you have the Reserva, which is the Old World, the Muriel, which gives you those earthy tones. And then a Bordeaux from France. And two different examples of Chardonnays here. They do Chardonnays oaked and unoaked. And the unoaked tends to be almost richer flavored, maybe a little buttery, where the unoaked tends to be a bit more crisp. And then an example here of an Italian sweet wine. And then we've got an example here of the regional wines that everybody loves so much.
Right. Now, I got to say, I've never heard wine referred to as buttery. So
yeah,
what I guess
it's just kind of like one of the characteristics. And the thing is, everybody's palate's different.
Sure.
Everybody tastes different things. Buttery is just kind of almost like a mouthfeel, I'd have to say.
Sure, and so obviously it's made with a lot of different, it can have a lot of different fruity flavors. But,
correct.
So what we'll be talking about next is how to pair that, where to pair it, and even what kind of glasses to use with your wine to make it really enhancing the flavor. So we'll find out more coming up. Yeah, that's right. We are talking about wine, and there's certainly no winos over here. We might be whining a little bit, but how many puns can I use? What we're going to be doing today with Kelly Basinger, she's from 234. She's the chef over there. We're going to be talking about specifically food, and we've got lots of yummy food in front of us. And so, Kelly, what exactly does food and wine, talk about that pairing, because it's very important to bring out that really rich flavor in wine. So why don't you kind of talk about how to do that?
Sure. Wine and food really do complement each other, and traditionally red wines are paired with bigger red meats and pork, stronger flavored proteins, whereas white wines are traditionally paired with like chicken or fish or something more mild. But really anything goes, and everyone's palate is different. But I brought a few things today just to kind of give examples of what you can drink with what and why. I brought a couple cheeses. I have an herbed farmer cheese, which is a really mild cheese, which would go really well with a white wine, a fruity wine, and then a gorgonzola, which is a big, bold flavored cheese, which you could drink with red wines. That's why cheese is always really common appetizer for cocktail parties. But a really good example of why the red wine versus the white wine drinking with certain proteins, anything goes. This is a chicken dish, but it's braised with tomatoes and rosemary and garlic and really big flavors, so you really could drink a red or a white wine with that.
Right, you know, I never thought about 6 a.m. I'd want to have both chicken, cheese, wine, and all together, but this is making me really hungry.
Sounds
so
good right now.
we might have to dig in a little bit. When we come back, we'll be talking more about glasses and wines and how to pair that and make a really great dining experience for yourself coming up. That's right, here at Wine on Broadway in Quincy, talking about the classes coming up with John Wood Community College to help you learn more about pairing food with wine. And we've kind of talked about what foods go with what wines, and now comes to the proper tasting portion. And I'm not too familiar with proper technique, so we have Dustin, and he's going to show us how to taste and how to properly do that.
All right. Like I said, I cheated here. I used a screw top for this one.
Well, we won't tell anyone. It's just on TV.
And usually you just want to kind of hold the glass a little bit at an angle there. And just pour it down the side. And that's about probably a good little tasting portion right there. You don't want to drink too much, you know. You got to go through the rest of the tasting. And then you just kind of swirl it around like that. And you just kind of, they call these tears. You see those little, they look like teardrops
Sure.
going down. And that could tell you about, you know, the alcohol when it comes to the wine or the sugar content. And then you smell, just smell away.
And so what are you smelling for when you do smell it? Is there something that you really want to sniff for?
You can tell a lot of things from the nose on a wine. You can kind of tell how strong a wine it is, how fruity it is. If it's got those earthy tones, you'll kind of smell that in there.
And so then moving forward with tasting, you taste it, and I guess unless you are looking to have a really more delightful experience, are you swallowing the wine, or are you just kind of...
A lot of people, they tell you, like at official wine tastings, what they tell you to do is spit, but I don't feel like doing that on live
Well,
TV.
sure.
So.
And so that's proper technique, and you to really get the fullness in your mouth and taste it with all your
Correct.
taste buds, and so...
And you kind of swirl it around in
Sure.
your mouth there, and there's actually a way that you kind of it sounds like you're gargling a little bit, but you're aerating the wine. And yeah, I'll give you a little example here.
To get that full effect, you really want to taste it and get that full effect. And then sometimes people do spit it back out, but we're going to just kind of taste it a little bit this morning, or Dustin is, at least for us anyway. But coming up, we'll learn more about that class and how you can get involved here on KHQA This Morning.
Thank you so much, Dustin, for giving us that full life effect. We